in there.
Yes.
Get in.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
Get it.
Yes.
Get it. Oh,
Yes.
roses are red, violets are blue. The Mags through to the 5th round, and there's nothing the officials can do. Welcome to Loaded Mag NUFC. This is the Loaded Reaction Show as a reaction to Aston Villa versus Newcastle United in the FA Cup 4th round. How are we, boys? Nice to see those shades again, isn't it? Pete, how are you?
Feels good. Feels good, people. Hope we're all doing well. Hope we're all hope we've all got the shades out in the chat. Why not? Come and join us. It's a good time at this moment. I feel great. Feel absolutely great. Great day. Celebrating Valentine's Day with the missus, and the boys pop up with a superb performance, a well-deserved performance and win. And we're into the next round. We love every single moment of it. Feeling good. We'll get into the game, no doubt about it. But welcome to everyone in the chat. Make sure you get these likes up, people. Make sure you get these likes up. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Thank you for joining us. And of course, if you're on X, feel free to pop over. Get your comment in the chat. Tell us how good it feels, people, in the chat. Tell us how good it feels to win that game tonight, to beat corruption, and get into the next round. Chris, how are you feeling now? You beat corruption, mate.
Absolutely buzzing. And you know what? It was nice. It was nice to see, well, what I perceived to be anyway, a little bit of clicking. I had something different tonight, and I thought it worked really, really well, which we'll touch on shortly. But yeah, we had so much against us tonight. So much against us. It was ridiculous. It actually turned into a bit of a joke in the end, particularly that penalty decision. Especially when they showed the replay about 3 times, and he's just like, he's a good couple of yards in the box. But we will get into it. But yeah, I'm buzzing. Through to the 5th round. And more importantly for me, which I know might sound odd, it's 2 big wins on the bounce. It's 2 big wins on the bounce, boys. Great to be through to the 5th round, not downplaying it at all. But for me, it's going to Tottenham, it's going to Villa, and it's getting the win in both games. And for me, that's huge.
That's how are you feeling?
Yes, that's
come on.
I'm better today, as you boys know. I could not walk yesterday. I was not able to walk. My ankle ligaments, something happened there. I don't know. But I'm walking today, so that's positive. And another positive is we won. So let's get into it. You have us for an hour, people, because we were not supposed to be on tonight. This is a special occasion. So. Right, let's get into the game and we will fly through it, because first up is the team news. Team news being no Bruno. Well, we'll talk maybe a bit about more about that later on, and we're not going to see Bruno for some time. No Botman either, and no Wisa. And on the bench was Popey, Gordon, Alanga, Willock, and Suso as well made an appearance on the bench. I think he was involved in the under-21s match as well. But boys, team news, what did you make of it? And this is the Villa team news as well.
For me, and Chris, feel free to jump in. I thought that Eddie Howe would mix it up a little bit. Not surprised to see a shooter start at all. The big surprise was for me the formation, the way I thought throughout the game that it was going to be set in the 4-2-3-1. As we saw it against Bournemouth in the last FA Cup round. And I'll be honest, lads, I was excited by it. Because I knew that Big Nick would be playing in that sort of free role in the middle, just behind Willock. And happy birthday, Big Nick. And yeah, so that was the bit that I was more intrigued about than anything else. When I saw Botman wasn't in the squad, I was a little bit worried. But thankfully, they came out and said that he's just been rested. Obviously, we've got a game midweek, etc. Makes sense. Dan Burns back fit again. So yeah, I mean, Chris, jump in, mate. Jump in. What anything that stood out for you?
Yeah, I mean, similar to you, Pete, it was nice to see something different, and I knew that we were lining up different. I think when you put it in the chat, you said 4-2-3-1, and it certainly looked like it was going to be 4-2-3-1. Throughout the game, it felt a little bit different to me, but it was. You know what? It was just nice to, as you say, see something different. It wasn't just a case of, right, 4-3-3, who's playing where. It was a bit like, oh, okay, this doesn't look like 4-3-3. And that was good to see. Yeah, I was disappointed. Wissa wasn't part of the squad. I'm glad Big Nick started on his birthday. I thought that was the right call. And yeah, obviously seeing Willock, we know Willock provides a high press, which is great. And I think that sets the tone for the team. So I was pleased to see that. Anthony Gordon not starting, but obviously Harvey Barnes on the left. Jacob Murphy still getting his chance out on the right. I did expect to see Anthony Elanga. I can't lie, I was expecting to see that, but obviously we saw him make an appearance. Coming on. But yeah, no other big surprises for me. Obviously, great to see Lewis Hall back in as left back. We had a bit of a shock at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, didn't we, Pete? So it was nice to see Lewis Hall back in that left back berth. But yeah, and obviously Adam Ramsdale starting in between the sticks. And I was encouraged by the lineup, is what I'd say.
Encouraged by the lineup, it was interesting to see what was going to happen here, and for me, it was like see what Nick Woltemade does, and can he step up, or who's going to step up now in the absence of Bruno, with a lot of big games coming. But let's get into the actual game itself. So a positive opening 10 minutes from Newcastle. Plenty of experimented by Newcastle as well. Byrne and Malik Chow kind of switched sides as well at times. I was like, what's going on here at the very early stages of the match? But they went back to their right sides after that. But Nick Woltemade seeing plenty of the ball, so that's not what we're used to seeing. But him playing in that role, in that kind of number 10 or slightly in midfield kind of role, he does get to see plenty of the ball. 13 minutes in though, set piece free kick. It looked like Morgan Rogers was going to take it. Douglas Luiz chips the ball up. In fairness, a good set piece routine to Tammy Abrahams, who controls it and sends it over Ramsdale. Yeah, great goal, good goal if you're Aston Villa fan. But he was offside, clearly offside. But the thing is, VAR isn't in this round of the FA Cup, so nothing that could be done about it, but when the linesman didn't see it. But Newcastle were clearly robbed for that one. Thoughts on that goal, boys?
Again, this is the beginning of the corruption taking place, because it's a joke. Look, referees sometimes miss it. The referee might not have been in line to be able to see it. That's fine. But I tell you what, that linesman was. How the linesman's missed that. Because there's two players. It's not even Abrahams that scores the goal. It's the other player as well that's in there, that's in an offside position. You can see the lines of the 18-yard box to judge it. The linesmen are there. This is what they're paid to do. They're paid to read the line, to watch the line. They're not watching the ball. They're watching what's going on down the line. And if you can't see that there's not just one, but two players in an offside position, then you don't deserve to be running the line at this level. It's a joke. I'll be honest, I've got my own opinions on VAR not being involved in this. When you've got VAR in every single Premier League match, week in and week out, and it is well embedded now, it's been embedded for years in English football, and you've got two Premier League teams playing against each other, and you haven't got VAR, for me, it's not good enough. This is an advert for VAR today, because it's an absolute disgrace. It is very clear to me that referees and officials cannot no longer do their job, and it just shows in that moment and others how heavily reliant the officials are now on VAR. They are heavily reliant on it because they can't make their own decisions, and they're not watching the game quickly or efficiently enough. Not good enough. Ridiculous decision. And just to add before Chris comes in, we didn't deserve it because we were the better team in that moment. Yeah. We were playing the better football. That came against the run of play. But Chris, talk to me, man. Tell me.
Yeah,
tell me you agree. Tell me you agree.
Oh no, absolutely. It was a well-worked goal from Aston Villa's point of view, but Tammy Abraham didn't hold the line, and it was clearly offside. And that was the frustrating thing from our point. And you could kind of tell as well because all the players are looking over at the linesman. And I have to say, boys, and I think it's good because people in the chat have been doing it as well. You raised a good point, Pete. the referee made some horrible decisions tonight, some real horrible decisions. But we can't just put it all on Chris Kavanagh's door, because his linesman was shocking. Because as a linesman, you know, he should be looking straight down the line, and you can clearly see comfortably that Tammy Abraham goes too quick, and the last man covering him, you could argue, was probably Dan Burn on the other side of the 18-yard box. But there's a good yards and a half, maybe even 2 yards that he's offside. So yeah, it's really, really poor, really, really poor. And that was the first poor decision. What was that, Daz? 11 minutes. That was the first poor decision.
That was the 13th minute. Yeah,
of many. It doesn't even stop there. But yeah, well worth goal from Aston Villa. They would obviously be pleased with that. But from our point of view, yeah, it was really, 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 really disappointing. And it's something they need to sort out, Pete, to take on your other point as well. It's something they need to sort out, because obviously in the FA Cup, they want it to be as fair and as equal as possible, don't they? So, for example, you know, somebody like Mansfield playing at home to, I don't know, I can't think who Mansfield played, but they beat them, didn't they? Burnley. So Mansfield were at home to Burnley today, I think. And obviously Mansfield don't have VAR. So what they're trying to do is make it as fair and equal as possible. But I agree with you. If there's two Premier League clubs and it's so well integrated, because let's not forget, Mansfield don't have VAR every week, whereas two Premier League clubs do. Like Liverpool, Brighton, for example, they're playing now.
Yes, exactly.
You know, VAR should be there. And equally, you know, if it's played, I think if it's played at a Premier League side and they have the functions for VAR, then it should be, VAR should be there.
Sorry, Chris. Yeah, Burnley were at home actually today. But your point is still valid, and I agree with what you boys are saying as well. That the officials have become lazy. They just rely on VAR, and also if you're going to play without VAR, because the officials have got lazy, then just use refs from the football league who are used to reffing without VAR in these early rounds, and then move to Premier League referees when VAR is allowed back in it. But
can I just come in just really quickly just on this last point? I just want to emphasize how bad this decision was, and the fact that two men were offside. Because I've got the image here right down the line. You look at that. And you tell me that there's not two Aston Villa players offside, and the ball literally comes in both of their directions. That's as the ball's being taken. There are two Villa players that directly influence the movement of the ball into that direction, because effectively the first player that's offside, not even Abraham's, where the first player is, and I don't know who it is because I can't see it.
Looks like Pau Torres, maybe.
Yeah, you could be right. I've no idea. But the ball actually gets played over his head for Abraham's to run onto, because it's not played in Abraham's direction. It's actually played slightly to the right-hand side if you look into the goal. And he runs into that space. So he directly affects that centre-back or the defender, whoever it is that's in front of him, to be able to get back in and defend that ball. That is why it's an offside. And as we've said, the linesman is the one that should be strong enough and efficient enough to make that decision when you're refereeing at that level. It's no good. Rubbish.
Boys, we're going to continue on, and I know that George has a super chat in there as well. We're going to get to that, George. Great to see you back in the chat, actually, by the way. Because when we get to that point, we'll come to George's super chat. Right, so let's kick on, boys, because as I said, where I finished off here was Newcastle robbed, and robbed again they were, because for the second time now in this game, and we're in the 21st minute, there's a penalty shout as Hall is taken down in the box. Again, this is bollocks without VAR. This is what I'm thinking. When you are away from home, you're not going to get these as well without a VAR. Ramsey looking for a penalty then after that again, and not afraid to get involved with a tackle either on his former teammates. Then at 30 minutes, Barnes goes down in the box and nothing again. Might be a bit soft, that one, but nothing was coming our way. 33 minutes, Barnes is fed in by Asula, and he hits the side netting. 40 minutes, bad challenge on Murphy by Lucadinha. He gets a yellow card, but again, because we're out without VAR, that might have been upgraded to a red. it was a bad tackle. You could see that the marker left on him as well. Then let's get to the sending off, boys, because on 45 minutes, Bizot gets a red as he takes Murphy out as Newcastle break away. Villa go down to 10 men. The keeper has a sliding tackle. He actually connected with his knee as part of that tackle as well. But on comes Martinez, and Leon Bailey comes off, so he's the sacrifice there. But boys, that was crazy. Well, from the Villa keeper. Anyone want to comment on that?
Well, to be honest, Daz, everything you've just ran through very efficiently, all of those things were ridiculous. All of those things were absolutely ridiculous. So I'll just run through them really quickly. The first one that you talked about, the one that should have been a penalty with Lewis Hall. Now, I've not been able to see a replay on this, but I watched the replay live, and the only way that couldn't be given a penalty is if Lindelof got something on the ball. I didn't see him touch the ball. I saw Lewis Hall knock it past him and then get his legs taken from under him. That is a stonewall penalty, in my opinion. And I've had Billy in our 12th man chat telling me that he got the ball. I didn't see that. So please, someone tell me in the chat that they didn't see it as well. And Chris Daz, if you saw something different, please tell me. So that's one. The second one, Daz, that you thought maybe was a little bit softer, I actually thought was a penalty as well. Because Harvey Barnes has done the hard work. He's got past his man. He's about to pull the trigger, albeit at a tight angle, and he gets his legs taken from under him. The player gets nowhere near the ball and he takes his legs. For me, that's a penalty. Maybe less so than Hall's, but it's still a penalty. The Murphy one, Chris, I'll let you come to that one because I'm just going to end up making myself mad about that situation. It's just ridiculous. But the Bizot situation reminded me a little bit of the Callum Wilson one. Remember away at Brighton when Eddie Howe was in the stands just before he got appointed as manager. It reminded me very much of that one where he's in and he's away and he takes it past him and then he just gets literally chopped. He just gets chopped down. It is absolutely brain dead goalkeeping from Bizot. But hey, I'm here for it. And I took it all day long. And regardless of the defender being there, it was still 3-on-1 with Murphy playing the ball past the goalkeeper. So the percentages of his scoring from that were incredibly high. But Chris, coming on any of those, particularly fire away at that Murphy one because I'm still angry at that one. I'm still angry at that one.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the Hall one was a penalty. I agree with Daz in the sense that maybe the Barnes one was probably the least of the three. But I still thought it was a penalty. I still did think it was a penalty. The Murphy one was just like, oh, I don't even know. And then, as I say, you know, like Bizot, it was funny because they slowed the Bizot one down, didn't they? You know, obviously the red, and you kind of wonder what goes through goalkeepers' heads, and we've seen it happen to us as well. But you know where like the player just knocks it past, and you just think, what is he thinking? What is he thinking? The ball's gone, and he's just like, I just need to stop him. It's like they see red and they just think, I've just got to stop him. And he literally just lunges into him. And you think at that point, especially at 1-0, just before half time, you're thinking at that point that he's potentially going to cost his team the game. And ultimately that's what happens. Albeit, boys, we've seen this happen with Aston Villa before, at the very start of the season. When we got the point and it finished 0-0, Aston Villa went down to 10 men then as well. I think it was Konze who got sent off, I think. But we didn't, quite get it over the line. But I feel anyway, regardless, even if Bizot stays on the pitch, I still think we had a great opportunity to go on and win the game because I thought we were playing well. But yeah, it was borderline ridiculous. And when it went to the commentators, who was Les Ferdinand and who was the right back, wasn't it, Alan Hutton. When it went to them at half time, I was thinking, bloody hell, they could probably spend half an hour talking about that first half because it was just decision after decision after decision, and it was so poor, so poor. But yeah, a mental half, and to go in 1-0 down seemed crazy, but at least we knew that they were down to 10 men as well, so there was a little bit of justice being served.
There was a small bit. That took us to half-time, and we're 1-0 down, but in serious questions on the officiating, as we've just touched on. Into the second half, the linesman decides, that's that same linesman who couldn't see the offside, he decides to use his flag against Newcastle. What is going on here? Then Newcastle trying to force it, putting Villa under pressure. 60 minutes. This is where, George, you'll be coming in here pretty soon. But yeah, handball by Lucas Digne. Peno. But no, the ref gives a free kick, and we'll have some pictures of this, right? Lucas Digne, well inside the box. Corruption. Let's have a look at that. You can see in this picture, example A, he couldn't be more inside the box. Example
Honestly.
B, where is he? He's inside the box. Referee, where'd you give a free kick well outside the box? What's going on there? Talk to me, boys, and bring up George's super chat as well.
Do you know what, Pete? I'll bring up George's super chat, and you can jump into it, mate. George, thank you so much for the super chat, mate. It's much appreciated. George says, hard watch at times. The officials got decision progressively worse. Absolutely. Thank God it did not matter. The handball decision, which is what we're about to talk about, how can they not see that is inside the box? Pete, how can they not see that was inside the box?
There's only one answer to it. They must be Stevie Wonder. They must be. They must be. They must be wearing the shades like us. How the hell has anybody in that stadium? And some of the lads that I know were in the away end, and they saw it, and it was blatant. So if everyone else in the stadium can see it, how are they, as professional officials, not seeing that? They saw the handball, so they must have seen where the player was standing. And to get it that honestly, oh my God, it is a joke. If Chris Kavanagh and his officials are reffing a game, a football match within the next 2 weeks, then Howard Webb needs to be sacked. Is the PGMOL, right, head of the PGMOL. If they are reffing in the next 2 weeks minimum, he deserves to lose his job. It's that simple. Because that decision alone is a sackable offence. Because you are not doing your job properly. That's gross misconduct in any walk of life, in any job, if you're not getting those decisions right. It is a disgrace. I cannot believe it. Honestly, as soon as he blew the whistle, I was just expecting him to just point to the spot.
Yeah.
Just it's obvious. Honestly, Chris, talk to me, man. I need to honestly, I don't know. I'm buzzing. We're into the next round, but going through this is making me angry. I'm going to pour myself another brandy. Chris, talk to me. Tell me how you're feeling. Daz, do the same. Because I am not. Yeah. If I had 3 cups, I'd be pouring us 3 cups in our resident Chinese in Newcastle. Yes. We'd be doing a round. 3 prawn crackers. Maybe
we wouldn't get a look in, Pete.
I'm going to tell you said that. Anyway, Chris, come in, man.
It was beyond belief. Like you, Pete, I was expecting to see the arm pointing towards the penalty spot, and then when he blows his whistle, and then he walks towards the edge of the box, and then starts painting his line, and but you can see. And I suppose it must have been horrible for the referee and the linesman, of course, because when he's done it, he almost knows that he's got to own it. He's got to own it because he's not going to have anyone in his ear going, "Oh, mate, you've made a fucking really big header there." You know, because if this was a normal Premier League game, you know, VAR would have been like, "Yeah, mate, you need to go and have a look at that at the screen," and then they see clearly that it was in the box. But like everyone's been saying in the chat, it was almost it showed the drop off, and it showed how reliant referees are these days on VAR, because clearly he's not been looking properly, or he hasn't got the confidence to judge his own decisions, because it was so bad, so bad. And you can see from the reaction of the players. I think on one of those pictures, Dan Burns literally like that, like going, "Are you joking?" Yeah, look at him. It's like he's screaming.
And Trips and Tonali.
Yeah, And Jacob Ramsey's giving him loads as well. Nobody can believe it. Nobody can believe it. And as well as that, as you said, Pete, you know, all the fans in the stadium. So he must, when he was doing that, he must have thought, yeah, I've made a Vic here, like, because everyone's going absolutely mental over it. But that doesn't help us, does it? That doesn't help us because we were robbed of a penalty that we you know deserved. And again, that was that the fifth really bad mistake? I think it was. Yeah, I think that was the fifth one. It may have been more. Couple of pen shouts, red cards previous for it was the Luca Dean challenge, wasn't it? Yeah, there was a few. There was the offsides. There was a few, but yeah, I think I'd counted up to 5 at that point. And I'm thinking, could this get any worse? And you're thinking, you know, is this corruption of the highest level? I don't know, but yeah, I couldn't believe it. What were you thinking, Daz? Were you expecting the penalties to be given?
Oh yeah, it was 100% a penalty. Like it made no sense. I was like, how have I missed that it was outside the box there? How could it have been outside the box? And like. It just made no sense. And even the commentary, I think, we're saying it was definitely a penalty as well. So, but let's move on, boys, because
let's do it.
I think I was busy texting you guys as well. I think from the resulting free kick, Tonali gets on the end of a rebound, and I'm saying, have some of that, you corrupt bastards. That's what I'm saying in that stage, because Tonali gets his goal and the celebrations all around as well. Great to see Sandro get a goal. He has been taking a few shots of late, and finally it pays off. Boys, Tonali's goal, first one.
Yeah, that was well deserved, and Villa. I saw a few Villa fans on social saying, "Oh, it was harsh deflection." This, that, and the other. Yeah, that's the least you deserved, is a deflected goal like that on the back of it. But it was a great hit anyway, and it was almost. I used the word justice, absolute justice for that ridiculous decision, and that might be the only saving grace for that trio of officials in that moment. Is we went on to score very shortly afterwards. First thing on Sandro Tonali, I need to see him pick up positions like that more often. That's exactly where we need to see Sandro Tonali, on the edge of the box, being able to come on to the end of things. The amount of times we have set pieces and it falls to the edge of the box and no one's ever there. That's where Sandro Tonali needs to be, because we know and we've heard from other players at the club that he has one of the best, most hardest shots from that sort of distance. But we just don't see it enough. But we saw it tonight, and it was a great hit. Deflection through a load of players into the opposite corner. And boys, at that point, it was right. Let's go win this fucking game now, because we were up, we were on them. We pinned them back. We pinned them back into their own box continuously in the first half, let alone in the second half. And so it was all on us. And I think the reaction of the players when the ball hit the net was very much of the same mentality. It was like, right, no celebrating in front of fans. Get that ball, get it back. Let's go again. And I love that mentality from the boys. And they were laser focused on what they needed to do today. From that moment, it was a case of, we are not leaving here unless we win this game. And you could see it in the players. And you could see from kickoff, bang, straight back on it again. But Chris, your thoughts on justice?
On justice. Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what? I was laughing to myself because I posted something similar in my chat as I did with you boys, as I did to my mates, saying that I'd love to see Sandro get some shots off, because I noticed in the first half he got himself into some like half decent positions, and I thought, let loose, have a crack, and he didn't. He played the simple ball, and then lo and behold, second half he finds himself on the edge of the box, hits it, gets a bit of fortune with the deflection. But yeah, makes it 1-1, and yeah, richly deserved. But yeah, you're right, Pete. We've heard that from Eddie Howe, and I think a few of the players, who've said Sandro's got a hell of a shot on him, and we've been crying out for Sandro to take set pieces and stuff like that, haven't we? But we've wanted our midfielders to, in and around the box, just get a shot up, just have a crack. You never know whether it's going to deflect, as it did, or whether it's going to bounce out for the corner. Or the keeper spills it, and then one of the strikers, latches onto it and scores a goal. That's something that we lack as a team, but we saw more of it today. just having a crack, just have a shot. You probably heard me a few weeks ago saying it frustrates me sometimes when, you know, a player's 35, 40 yards out and you hear the fans screaming, shoot. But to a degree, I understand where they're coming from in the sense that they just want to see a shot at goal. They just want someone to have a go. And Sandro did that. And yeah, as I say, got his little bit of fortune. It has enough power on the shot where even the deflection, it still has a lot of pace on it. And obviously it had wrong-footed Martinez at this point, so it was going into the back of the net. But yeah, much deserved. And yeah, I wouldn't entertain any Villa fans saying that, it was harsh or unlucky for them, because I think their luck had ran out at that point because they'd had a lot of luck, particularly in that first half. But yeah, I was delighted when it went 1-1, and I thought, yeah, we can go on, we can kick on now and win this.
And keep that thought in mind, Chris, because on comes some subs. Then Gordon is on, Asula comes off, Murphy is off, Elanga is on, even though they didn't really even flash it up at screen. 68 minutes. Gordon shot deflected for a corner. Then that resulting corner, the officials, I was saying here, need to book themselves into Specsavers. Worst display ever. Shocking. Byrne gets pushed over as well. Now, they're not normally given, but it's another thing to add to the long list of things that were going on with the officials. 74 minutes, a ball through by Hall to Elanga, great ball by Hall, but Elanga slipped at the wrong time there. It was a great little move. 75 minutes.
Sorry, mate, just to jump in there, I think that moment by Lewis Hall, that was one of the best moments of the whole game for me. Literally took on like 3 or 4 players, threaded the ball through. It was a fantastic ball, and yeah, Anthony Elanga slipped, didn't he? But that would have been one of the best assists this weekend. It was absolutely, the ball was delicious, and like I say, he took on like 3 or 4 players. We know Lewis Hall's really good with the ball at his feet, but that was a moment. That was a moment of genius from Lewis Hall. It was I was so gutted for him. Obviously, with Anthony Elanga, it would have been great for him getting his goal, but for Lewis Hall to class that as an assist, it was a brilliant piece of skill.
It was lovely. Just unfortunate for Elanga. 75 minutes, Barnes has a header, but he just didn't connect right well with it. 76 minutes, Newcastle are all on top of Villa now at this stage. A layoff from Dan Burn. Sandro Tonali with a second as he shoots from outside the box into the bottom corner. What a hit. Justice is served as Newcastle go 1-2 up. And another lovely celebration from Sandro with 2 in this one. Boys, thoughts on Sandro's second?
Well, the first one was a good hit, but this one was a special hit from our boy Sandro Tonali. He hasn't been great this season. We've all well documented it in his performances, but the boy turned up tonight. And he turned up in a big way. This was a brilliant strike. This is a fantastic strike. The only place he could put that ball and not have the goalkeeper save it. Right into the side netting. Power, drilled. Exactly what you want in your midfielder, picking up the ball on the edge of the area. It's a brilliant strike. A strike worthy of winning any game. And I loved it. I loved the celebration. I love the reaction of the away fans, who were, again, absolutely sensational. Our away fans in our difficult moments have been absolutely brilliant, particularly recently. They've been so good. And they were brilliant again at Villa Park. And yeah, you could see the togetherness of the players, everyone together, embracing, in particular, embracing him and giving him a lot of over celebratory treatment, because I think, he's had his name talked about a lot recently, and that was a statement there. That was a statement that I'm still here, I'm still capable of good performances, and I'm capable of helping and producing for this team in the absence of Bruno Guimaraes, and he absolutely did that today. It was a brilliant goal from him, and much needed. And at that point, boys, I have to be honest, I thought, that's the game. That's the game. I did not see anything from Aston Villa in that game, in that second half, that made me feel that they were ever getting back into it. We needed that second goal. Sandro produced the moment of brilliance. And yeah, as we keep saying, boys, well deserved. Well deserved in that moment. Corruption will never win, and justice will always be served. And Sandro Tonali served justice tonight.
Chris, thoughts on Sandro's second?
Oh, mate, I absolutely loved it. I've just mentioned I was screaming out for Sandro to shoot, and then he shoots for the second time, and it's just, it's an absolute rocket. It's an absolute rocket. When you watch the replay and how the ball travels in the air as it's heading towards goal, it's just a pure strike. It's an absolutely pure strike. He's probably not going to hit them much better again this season. It was a fantastic strike. And much deserved, as Pete said, Sandro has not had the best of seasons. He's been in the news a lot recently. And I'm glad that they went a little bit over the top in terms of the celebrations for him. I actually watched the post-match interview with him and Nick Woltemade after the game. Really, really nice. Great with the two of them. And yeah, obviously, there was a lot of love shown for Sandro there. And, he's probably had a few dark moments this season, in terms of not quite hitting the heights that maybe we expect of him, maybe he expects of himself. But he really stood up tonight, and that he really deserved that goal as well. And I just hope going forward, boys, that we see this more regularly. I'm hoping Eddie Howe saying to him in the dressing room, let's get a few more shots off. Let's have a little bit more of that, because we know he's capable of it. We know he can do it. So yeah, great finish, 2-1 up, and I'm thinking we've got this wrapped up now. It's in the bag. Obviously at 2-1, it's still a little bit in the balance. But yeah, it was a great strike, great finish, 2-1 up. They're down to 10 men, and then I think we brought on a couple more subs, didn't we? But yeah, it was great.
No spoilers, Chris. 79 minutes. Ramsey is off. Willock is on. 83 minutes. Jadon Sancho with a shot that's lofted for a corner by Malik Chow. 87 minutes. Newcastle get what they deserve. And it is the icing on the cake for the birthday boy.
Happy birthday!
Birthday. Here he comes, Big Nick. Willock collects a poor Villa pass. Big Nick energy applies the finish. 1-3. The drought is over, boys. After going 14 games without a goal, Big Nick on his birthday has won to make it 3-1 Newcastle. What are you making of that one, boys, from Big Nick?
Well deserved. I think that goal today capped off a really good performance from Nick Woltemade. Really, really pleased for him. I've said it quite a lot recently. The games that I've seen Nick Woltemade show any form or ability that we saw from him in the clips that we saw at Stuttgart, and again at Newcastle United, has been playing in that pocket, playing in that 10 is what people call it. And I thought he had a really good game today. I thought he linked the play. I thought he was involved in everything. He could have maybe arrived in the box a few times a little bit earlier. But that's what you get. You get that reward for the hard work and the good performance that he put in. And yeah, it was a poor pass from Aston Villa's player. Willock being on hand to take advantage of it. The ball falls loose. What I really liked about Nick Woltemade's goal is something that he didn't do a couple of times in the match that frustrated me a little bit, is that he didn't give it up. He saw that the defender was coming in to try and clear the ball, and there was a couple of times he did it in the first half, and he kind of like put his body out the way and let the defender just clear the ball easily. He didn't. He got his foot in there. He was determined to get something on it. He was determined to get his shot away. And I like that about him, because he was determined to get his goal. And that's what I need from him. I need to see him a little bit more ruthless. I need to see him a little bit more hungry to get on the score sheet and to go, you know what? I'm not going to let you get this easily. I'm going to go through you to ensure I get my shot on goal. And that's what it felt like that goal was. He was willing to go through the defender to get that ball on target. And yeah, there might be a little bit of luck to it. The ball does kind of like get kicked off the defender and it goes onto his foot and he smashes it home. But hey, when a player's played as well as he did today, you get that little bit of luck, and he'd absolutely deserved that. And needs to work on his knee slides. Joe Willock needs to have a little word with him. The king of knee slides, Joe Willock, needs to maybe just give him a little bit of tutoring on the training pitch, maybe after hours. Needs to work on the knee slide, but he'll get there. I didn't quite see the old seller. The away fans might tell me differently, but hey, he deserved that, and it's a great goal, and it was a game killer. And at that point, boys, I'm already looking at who we're getting in the next round at that stage. Come on.
To wait till 6:30 on Monday, I think, for that draw, as far as I know. But Chris, your thoughts on Big Nick's goal?
Yeah, I was delighted for him. We know he's had a bit of a barren run of late. Maybe his confidence has been a bit low. But we saw lots of really promising things from Nick Woltemade today. I mean, I do still find it frustrating when the ball's in the air and he goes, well, I say he goes up to win it. He doesn't really go up to win it. He just kind of like hopes that it lands on his head. So a few frustrating moments from that point of view. But when he's on the ball, and we saw this, by the way, boys, when he first joined the club, because I think when he first joined, he was, even though we were putting him in the 9, he was very much playing more in the 10 role, because I don't think he actually knew where he was meant to be. So he was kind of sitting quite deep. But we saw him keeping the ball ticking over, playing the simple passes, little flicks around the corner, and that's what we saw plenty of today, plenty of it. And yeah, I hope that Eddie kind of sees this Nick Woltemade performance, sees his post-match interview, where he looks absolutely delighted, and he knows that he played a good game, because he said, I felt like I played really well today, and he did. He really, really did. And I think it just takes that little bit of pressure off him not being the guy in the number 9 up top. Him just sitting in behind, linking up the play between the midfield, the strikers, the wingers. I think that's where he needs to play. And hopefully Eddie has now stumbled across, a formation that works for him. But yeah, in terms of the goal, yeah, I was delighted for him. There was a potential for him to, take a nasty knock onto his leg, but he was determined to get in there, gets his foot in there. I think it might take a little bobble off the defender's foot. I'm not sure, but either way, he swings his leg at it, gets it in the back of the net, seals the deal, and we're through to the 5th round. So yeah, absolutely made up for him, and it capped off a really good performance from Nick Woltemade.
Then on 89 mass to make my Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Trips comes off and Alex Murphy takes to the pitch. I love it. Right. But yeah, that took us to no other sound effects, so that's allowed to go. Right. Full time. Newcastle 3, Villa 1. And you know what that means? That means we get a nice little team photo. First, a few celebrations with the crowd, of course. But this is where we lean in, boys, and see who we see. I haven't looked at this properly myself. Everyone, of course, is there.
Love it. Brilliant stuff.
Love these photos.
Nick Ramsey at the front. I like that with Joe Willock. Tonali, man of the moment in the middle. Tyndall, Mad Dog's always in the middle. He lives to be front and centre. I love it. Yeah. James Ross Wilson there. James Bunt's there. I can't see him. Is Bunt's there?
Yeah, back centre.
Oh, yeah, he is. Yeah, next to Popey. Yeah, there we go. Eddie Howe at the back with Big Nick. How is Eddie Howe the same height as Big Nick, and he's like literally standing on the bench?
Yeah, it's mad, that, isn't it?
A bit like is it Spurs, wasn't it, Chris?
Right.
You know that gif with Leonardo DiCaprio?
I'm going to sort this out once and for all. I'm going to do something and sort this out, that conversation. But that's the game. The game is done, boys. I'm not sure there's some comments from the chatters as well. Maybe we'll get into some of those.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've had loads of comments. Let's ping through them. So Tony Tambridge says, "Is Wissa injured?" We don't believe he is injured. I believe he was rested. That was the line, was it?
The line was before the game that Wissa had a knock.
Oh,
and nothing too serious, and that Botman was rested. Now, I think Sophie put in the chat that Botman
was his back, was it?
Yeah, something to do with his back. Right. Funny enough, Jordan Cronin just tweeted. Sven was feeling his back from the game against Tottenham. Don't think it's anything serious. certainly hope he won't be out for any period of time, but it was the right decision not to let him travel today. And Johan picked up a knock. So for me, I think it was a smart move, certainly for Botman. He's played a lot of football recently. And in the Champions League midweek, you're going to want him traveling to Carabao to be involved in that game. And then with Man City away coming up after that, I think if it means that he doesn't miss any other matches and he's back for Carabao, I think that's the right move. I think if he's not playing against Carabao, then maybe we start to be a little bit worried about what this is. But no panic station. I had loads of people panicking when he got injured last time. And he had a back problem. He was out for 3 weeks. That was his first injury, by the way, this season. I did emphasize that at the time. So let's not get too panicky about Sven Botman. Hopefully he's back. But Wisa, who knows?
Yeah. We will see, boys. We will see. I wanted to put this one up from Claire G. Claire G said we needed Goosebumps tonight. Now, Daz, there's a bit of an update on Goosebumps, isn't there?
Yeah, there's unfortunately Goosebumps is gone. As in YouTube shut us down on Goosebumps. It was my intention to bring Goosebumps back and even mix it up with the current intro, but we can't. We are not allowed. Even we had to remove it from previous shows as well. But it's a sad day. We lose the Goosebumps, but it just means there's room for something else. You never know what will come in the future.
I like this new intro though.
I do.
It's a great track anyway. But like I think it's a nice transition.
It is.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll have more different samples coming our way to the loaded viewers.
Yeah, of course.
Tino says 13 linesman plus ref versus 11, and we still won. Absolutely right, Tino. Yeah, we were up against it tonight in terms of the officials. And talking of the officials, Lee Owen says PGMOL need a new boss and changes immediately. And we even had an Aston Villa perspective. James Saunders, who always joins us. Thank you, James. James says, as a Villa fan, the ref should have his referee status removed immediately. Couldn't agree more, James. Couldn't agree more.
James is a massive supporter of London as well, so he's always in the chat. Cheers, James.
And always, if I'm right in thinking, he's always kind of retweeting and liking a lot of the content that we put out as well. So that's coming from an unbiased point of view. So that should tell you everything you need to know. And to be fair, Billy agreed with the red card for the Luca Dean situation with Murphy. Although I did say to you boys before we went live, he didn't agree with the penalty shouts, which I just think is ridiculous. But I think overall he knew that we deserved to win that game.
Yeah, definitely. Bayshuk says they can't be that incompetent. It has to be corruption. So Bayshuk was not happy with what he saw tonight. And Morris Kennedy says the PGMOL need to make a statement on the officiating of this game. Worst in my lifetime, and I am 54. It was that bad. It really was. It really was. On the subject of Billy. Oh, sorry. What were you going to say, Pete?
No. I put that picture on in the system. So I'm glad that we made use of that, Daz.
And I just saw it there, so that might be the time to use that one. Nice one, Pete.
That's what it seemed like, and I know the previous comment was like sort of we're up against 13. We're up against 13 like people, men. I would have said 14 because even the linesman that was on our side of things screwed us over. So all the officials were bad, and I agree with that comment from is it Maurice Kennedy?
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. You mentioned Billy, Pete. Have we heard from Rich?
No, and I'll just give an update on that. I know Daz, you put it in our chat, and I've spoken to it anyway. There's been an issue with his account, his YouTube account was taken down. The Villa Park Pod, it was taken down because it had been hacked, unfortunately, and they were posting Bitcoin on there for a day or two, but that's been stopped. And he's in the process of getting his account back, so he hasn't been on doing shows recently for that reason, because obviously he's working with YouTube. So big up to Rich. Just make sure that when he does get his account back, and I believe he will, make sure if we haven't already, we go and give him a a sub and we give him a like and we show some love on his channel, because obviously he's going through a difficult period. When you're doing content regularly and you're putting stuff out there, it's obviously is a bit of a kind of a wrench really to come away from doing that when you've not got your channel there that you've worked so hard to put together, like Rich has in his lads as well. So big up to it. It's not heard from him, but I will say, in all honesty, he didn't hear from me when they won at St. James's Park, so I do not expect to hear from him at all. But we maybe do a top table talk. We can have a conversation.
We have a reason to do one now.
Squeeze it in. Yeah,
that's gonna look so biased. It's gonna be crazy. Yeah. But hey, we don't fit the rules.
No.
Yeah, because we didn't want to do one after the you kill us.
Right, where are we? I've got a couple of interesting ones here, but a few player ones. Well, first of all, before I do, Brett Critch says lucky ball 13 on Monday, and I'm like you, Brett. I always think number 13 is a lucky number because
that's your birthday.
That's my birthday number. Yes, so I like number 13. But yeah, happy birthday to Brett.
Happy birthday.
24 today, 24 years young for Nick Woltemade. But yeah, lovely presence. Yeah, absolutely. And Sophie B says she thinks Arsenal or City in the next round. Hopefully not. Hopefully we'll get a nice draw. But we will see on Monday evening. A couple of people have mentioned players. And obviously, the obvious one to go to, Turpi Marciano. The real Sandro turned up tonight. Daz, what did you think of Sandro tonight?
I thought he was class. Even before the goals, I thought he was putting in a good performance. He made one bad pass, or it was a mix-up with himself and trips or something. But apart from that, I thought he was class. And then he stepped up in with 2 goals. I don't know. This Valentine's Day, boys, can it get any better?
It can.
It can.
It can. Right. It could. Yeah, it can. It could. Yeah, we'll see.
Up to interpretation in the chat what you think that might be. But yeah, we'll carry on.
Yeah, I like that, Daz. Pete, Nobby Clark says Ramsey, our unsung hero, so technical and a step ahead of his teammates at times. I have to admit, tonight particularly, he really stood out for me. Jacob Ramsey. What were your thoughts on Jacob Ramsey?
Yeah, I'm really starting to like what I'm seeing from this lad. We'd seen bits earlier on in the season that I really liked and talked about previously, but it just seems to start. It seems like it's starting to come together, and it's starting to come together in a regular occurrence. So we've had a number of good performances now, back to back, and it's really, really good to see. Jacob Ramsey is a very technically gifted player. There's no doubt about it for me. I'm watching him, I'm seeing him play, the way he controls the ball, the way he takes the ball on the half turn, the way he protects the ball in tight spaces, the way he always wants the ball and wants to be on it. What we're seeing now is forward runs. He's making runs into the box. He's making himself a nuisance for the opposition. I really like what I'm seeing from, as Tino says quite rightly, from JJ, as Eddie Howe calls him. And yeah, I think what we're now starting to see is Jacob Ramsey start to kind of put his stamp on his career at Newcastle United, and we need to keep backing this lad. There's a reason why Eddie Howe paid the money he paid for him. It might have not made sense in August 2025. But for me, from what I've seen of him recently, it's starting to make sense in terms of why he paid the money. Sometimes, as we've said before with Tino and Lewis Hall, it takes a little bit of time for a player to get started. He had a long injury where he was out for 2 months. As he said in his interviews, he needed to get time to get back up to fitness after that. He now seems to have a regular run of games. He's putting in those performances and he's influencing games in a real positive way. And the biggest compliment I can give to Jacob Ramsey right now is that players are trusting him wholeheartedly on the pitch. They are giving him balls in tight spaces. Yeah. They're allowing him to be free and to feel comfortable in expressing himself when he's got the ball. So he's trying different things rather than just keeping it simple, side to side, pass. He's now trying to take the ball and travel 10, 15 yards up the pitch and trying to make things happen. He's roaming and finding positions. And the last thing as well is his connection with Sandro Tonali is underrated. We saw it in Paris against PSG. I saw it again tonight. That connection as a two in that midfield is working, and they have an understanding. Probably more so than maybe Tonali and Bruno. Probably more so than Tonali and Joe Linton or whoever. Those two have a really good understanding. They both can cover a hell of a lot of ground. Jacob Ramsey, for all of his technical ability, is creating a lot of space because he's using space on the pitch. He's covering so much ground. He's working hard off the ball. But technically, they have an understanding. Positionally, they have an understanding. It's really starting to come together with those as a two. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see it again in the near future with those two in that double pivot, because it seems to be working. And I read something the other day and I thought, you know what? I hadn't thought of this. And it's a really good point on Jacob Ramsey. The fact that Jacob Ramsey played all of his football under Unai Emery pretty much as a left midfielder, where Barnes and Gordon play. Yeah. Actually, Eddie Howe's brought him in and gone, you know what? No, you're going to play as an 8. And at times, he's picking the ball up where Bruno picks it up as a number 6. So he's taking the ball in those tight spaces, whereas Tonali's pushing further forward. So could he be more? I'm not saying he's as good as Bruno, he's not. But could he be the Bruno replacement where he picks the ball up in tight spaces? He finds those little passes and threads it through the line. Could he be that guy to take on that mantle to allow Tonali to do what he does and together be a really, really competitive midfield partnership? That's what I took from tonight. I'm not saying it's going to happen week in, week out, but there's a chance, and I'm seeing it starting to grow between those two. That there's a connection and an understanding there. Equally, there's a couple of other connections with other players across the pitch that, if we get time, we'll go to.
You know, this is, he's going to have an opportunity to try and work on that now with Bruno out. So yeah,
and you know what, Tino, Geordie Tune for Life makes a great point. And when he lists them, it's quite big, isn't it? Geordie Tune for Life says no Pope, Tino, Botman, Bruno, Miley, Joelinton, Gordon, Wisser, and they still couldn't beat us. Up the fucking mags, Eddie Howe's mags. Love that. Love that. 2-0 Liverpool, apparently.
Yeah, it's about
apparently.
I'm on my screen, but who cares? Who cares?
Who cares? Who cares? And then the last thing I was going to say before I ask you both a question before we wrap up, Tino made a really interesting point. He says, do we even need refs? And then he says, just automate the whole damn thing. And I tell you what, Tino, it's a very, very good point, because that I think that will have made a lot of people sit up tonight and start going, well, actually, you know, is that the case? Because if we did have VAR tonight, they would have put them to the screen. You know, they would have, the referee would have spoken on the tannoy or on his microphone and said, yeah, I made a mistake. Yeah, actually, this is what it should be. Oh, yeah, sorry, that goal. That penalty should have been given. Oh, sorry, yeah, that was a red card. It does make you. It does beg the point, doesn't it? That is that something that they're going to look at further down the line, but they just don't have an referee. I don't know. It's an interesting one from Tino. But what I wanted to ask you both was, who are you giving your man of the match? Pete, I'll start with you.
Man of the match. I think there's a few that could have got it, but I'm gonna be kind of just predictable, really. I'm gonna give it to Sandro Tonali. I'm gonna give it to Sandro Tonali just because, obviously, I mean, he got it anyway officially, but he was significantly better tonight. He stepped up when was needed, scored 2 brilliant goals, and as well as that, you know what I loved about it, and I think I put a picture in the system with Sandro. What I loved about it, particularly with the first goal, was this.
Yeah,
I love the fact that when that ball went in, rather than go and celebrate with the fans, he wanted to celebrate with his manager, because they've both been under pressure recently. They've both been getting a lot of stick. And I think that was a show of unity again from the player and the manager, or the player to the manager. Not only was it, yeah, we've both been getting shit right now, we're sticking together. It was, you know what, we back each other. And Eddie Howe went straight up to Tonali at the end of the game and gave him a big hug, and said, you know, you're brilliant. You could read what Eddie Howe was saying. He was like, you were brilliant. And there's that understanding there, and that's a positive sign for me. So I'm going to stick with Sandro Tonali, because I think after all of that and the stick that we've given him, me personally, I've given him stick because he hasn't been good, rightly so. He's proven that ability is still there and it's still alive and kicking in a Newcastle United. So yeah, I'll stick with that.
Dazzler?
For me, I could go down the route of giving it to Big Nick, playing in the kind of midfield, number 10 role in a 4-2-3-1 formation, and him scoring on his birthday, and he gets in an awful lot more of the ball and getting some nice touches and flicks and stuff as well. But I'm not. I'm giving it to Sandro as well, even though both of you were prepared to sell him that last show. And I know because of everything that's going on and could potentially play out in the summer. But I stuck to my guns there. I'm not letting Sandro go, and I do not want to see him leave Newcastle. So Sandro Tonali gets man of the match for me. Great to see him get his 2 goals. I'm surprised he didn't do the little baby celebration or something like that. But I'm sure, something. But because I thought that's what he was looking for his goal for. But that's on Sandro.
Yeah,
that's it. I think, boys.
Got to be a full house,
Sorry,
boys. I was going to say, no, I agree with you both. The 3 who were in contention with Ramsey, Tonali, and Woltemade. But yeah, it had to be Sandro. I thought Sandro was outstanding this evening, even managed the goals. So yeah, fully deserved. And let's hope we see more of those performances.
Just before we go, don't know if many people saw this, but there was a Brazilian report from a reporter in Brazil talking about Bruno Guimaraes and his injury. And the news was from over there is that Bruno is in discussions to sign a new contract at Newcastle United. So there has been some news recently about him being linked to other clubs. I know LB's obsessed with him going to Man City, etc., etc. But there is some news that apparently he is in talks to sign a new contract with Newcastle United, and there's an intention of him signing that deal before he goes to the World Cup. So just wanted to share that bit of positive news there to add to the growing positive news that we've had today and tonight. So yes, our captain must stay. He must stay.
Yeah,
I'm not fucking leaving. That's what he needs to say. I'm not fucking leaving. Right. Go enjoy Valentine's Day, the rest of it, everybody. We will see you on the next one. Maybe even for the draw. Now that we're in the 5th round. Who knows? For the night that's in it as well, some love for Big Nick. Good night, everyone. See you in the next one.
Come on. Move a little closer. Come on. I wanna hear you whisper. Come on. Settle down inside my love.